So I'm going to do a series of videos on abuse. It's such a huge topic and there's so many different kinds of abuse. So I'm going to do one on each different video and things you can do to help shift your abuse. But this one's going to be on recognizing abuse. Unfortunately, most people have been abused in some way, shape, or form. A lot of it comes from our belief systems that we don't matter, we're inadequate, we're unworthy, we're not enough, and so we become a vibrational match for those that will take advantage of us. So let me lay the ground rules of abuse. First rule, if you feel like you're being abused, or you even question it, you probably are. Your instincts are always right. Does it mean we need to walk away from everybody who abuses us? No, but it's an opportunity for you to learn to set boundaries and establish healthy boundaries. So what are some behaviors that are abusive? If someone is telling you how to live your life, that is abuse. Whether it's a parent, whether it is a friend, a lover, a religious leader, it doesn't matter. This is your life. Only you get to decide what you do with it. Now, they can lovingly guide you, but to demand you do something is abuse. If someone is isolating you from your friends, your family, your community, and does not want you to talk about things that are happening in the home, and doesn't actually want you to get better, in the sense of being able to communicate things helps you bounce the ideas off, and then you're able to reflect and able to heal. If they're terrified of you telling someone what's happening at home, there may be abuse going on. Okay? If you are in a circumstance where someone is telling you how to dress, or who you can hang out with, or how you should talk, you may be in an abusive situation. Now, a parent has the right to say, please don't use vulgar language in my house. So understand there are circumstances where if you're in somebody's house, please be respectful. But if someone is constantly on your case about expressing your emotions, like you shouldn't feel that way, or you shouldn't feel bad, or you shouldn't talk about that, that is a form of abuse. They're suppressing you from being you. Now, again, do we need to leave and walk away from every single person that abuses us? No. It's an opportunity to set a healthy boundary. If you are in a relationship and a person is constantly putting you down and making you feel like crap about yourself and making derogatory comments about your body, what you do as a career, if making you feel like you're never good enough, that is abuse. Again, an opportunity to stand your sacred grounds and draw some boundaries. If someone is touching your body inappropriately, whether that is a coworker, whether that is a partner, whether that is you as a child, as a parent, or some other person, that is abuse. This is your body. No one gets to touch your body, ever, without your permission. Now, if someone comes and gives you a hug because they're a very friendly person and you are uncomfortable with it, just say, I'm just not a huggy person. and draw that boundary. You don't need to attack everybody who touches your body, but it is a good space for you to understand that your body is yours. If someone is touching you inappropriately, it is abuse. Okay? Now, as a child, if a mommy or daddy spanks your bottom, hopefully it's not more than once every couple months. There is a point where a parent at a certain age may feel like they need to spank their child's bum. There are better ways. It is a form of abuse. But again, we don't need to turn our parents in every 2 seconds. They're doing the best they can. But it is unfortunately a form of abuse to touch another human's body, especially if you do it out of anger. Some other lines to understand what is abuse. If somebody withheld sex from a partner because they are angry at the partner or all of those things. Now, I do not feel like you should have to have sex when you do not feel emotionally connected to somebody. To force a spouse to have sex is abuse, especially if they do not feel emotionally connected to you. So, learning to make sure the relationship is actually something you still want. It is okay to decide, you know what, I loved you, but this isn't working out anymore, and it's okay to move on. Marriage actually works kind of funny because we love each other and then we hate each other. We love each other, we hate each other. We love each other, we hate each other. And if you're able to work through all those moments, then you're amazing. But if you are in a suppressed, unhappy marriage, that is abuse. Not only are you abusing each other, you're abusing yourself because you're not admitting to the fact that you don't want to be there. So when it comes to sex, if your partner refuses to have sex for long spouts periods of time, that is either A, you need to figure out whether there's a connection still there, learn how to heal that, the 5 love language, there's lots of different books out there, or you need to recognize that that is a sign of abuse. I went 3 years without sex in a marriage. That is abuse. Okay? Psychological abuse. There's lots of ways to attack your partner without attacking your partner. By ignoring your partner, by if someone is constantly making you feel like everything is your fault, and those kind of things. Again, those are silent types of abuse. So always tap into your instincts and say, how do I feel? And a lot of times we don't know how we feel. But if you can just, if something doesn't feel right, if you're upset about something, it's probably because something's not right. If you're ever afraid of another person in any way, shape, or form, something is not right. You shouldn't have to fear your parents. You shouldn't fear your spouse. You shouldn't fear your bishop or your religious leaders. You shouldn't fear your next door neighbor. If there is some type of fear going on, there's some type of abuse. For someone to put God over your head and say, you have to do this because that's what God wants, that is abuse. Okay? So here are some lines and some guidelines of what abuse is and how it feels. If anything feels scary, wrong, any of those things, in any way, shape, or form, you are dealing with some type of abuse. But do we need to leave the relationship or we need to put up walls? We'll talk about that in other layers because there are boundaries that are just not acceptable. And then there's boundaries of, okay, this is an opportunity for me to stand my ground. If your wife is constantly nagging you and bitching at you and putting you down, that is abuse. Now, can we heal that connection? Yes. Can we help her not be abusive? Yes. There's lots of tools to do that. But if that's your marriage, that's abuse. Or reversed, if your husband is constantly putting you down and making you feel like crap, da-da-da-da-da. Again, that's abuse. So, learning to know when it's okay to heal it and when it's just not acceptable. Like if somebody pulls a gun on me, that is not acceptable. If someone beats the shit out of me. That is not acceptable. If someone is, continues to keep me from my friends and family and continues to isolate me and continues to make me feel guilty and makes me feel like I am a piece of crap every single day of my life, and he's not allowing me to grow or shift or change, that is abuse. I'm going to give you a funny little tidbit. My husband made me sign a contract 2 to 3 years into my marriage that I would not talk about spiritual stuff. I would not be myself except for on Wednesdays. I would not talk about ghosts. I would not hang out with a couple of my relatives. I love him dearly, but that shit is abuse. Okay? So here are some guidelines to know what is abuse. Then in other videos, I'll go in and how to actually shift these different levels of abuse. And there are many, many spaces where you can actually correct it, like where you become a frequency match, or you'll raise your frequency so you're no longer a match for that type of vibrational abuse. But then there's places where you need to put up your bird and you need to walk away. So we'll talk about the different levels and the different types. So anyways, hopefully this video is helpful, and we will talk to you soon.